it instantly puts me in line. Okay, A Court of Thorns and Roses. You might expect, me being, as I know, a grown man, I was told to read these books uh, by a woman in my life. But I was alone for months on end, and my fiance was away, and I was just like, what would be really funny to her probably is if I find a random romance movie, romance book series, like a fantasy romance book series, buy it, read it, and then when she gets back, I'm just like, I read this, and I found this cover, this design, and I was like, this is very much her kind of art style aesthetic. I also have a tattoo of a similar vibe, so I was like, this is the book. I didn't know anything about them. Now I know that they're like the most read book since freaking Harry Potter. But regardless, I read it. Met some people who also read it, and I also bought the rest of them. I got this before the soft cover came out, and there wasn't a tier list maker on the tier list website that I could click on and drag around where my face would be in the corner. So instead, we're going to be stacking them here. This is where the tier list is going to be, okay? Hope that makes sense. So let's start with, of course, book 1, A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've got you. I'm a grown man, right? You're reading this book. Major spoilers for the whole series, by the way. I mean, you gotta expect that there would be, given there's 5 books and I've got to be able to talk about all of them. This book is so boring until this point, and you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you're going. I'm like, why am I reading fucking Beauty and the Beast? Hello. Oh, Tricicles, welcome. I was playing a game for like 40 minutes because I have some free time, and now instead I'm reading. I'm doing a 5-book tier list for books that women read. They're like fantasy romance books. So you always come at the worst times. I'm sorry. So this book, as you know, it starts here, right? The entire time beforehand, it's like you're meeting this dude, Tamlin, and I consider myself to be a little bit media literate. I've seen a lot of movies, read a lot of books, and I'm just like, this dude sucks. Like, he very clearly sucks, and there's no way that he's gonna be. Oh, you just woke up. I'm sorry. I got an earlier head start today. We'll put the VOD up for the other one, but it's going to be too fast for you to even see what's going on. But sorry about that. Feel free to skip around in the tier list if you're actually going to be watching this in the future. But you meet Tamlin, you know that he's a piece, right? And you're like, there's no way that he's going to be sticking around. And eventually, like, it's going to finally build to that point, and like, okay, great. But yeah, once you get under the mountain, it's a very thrilling ride, right? Like, you're having a fantastic time. The imagery conjured in the sequences is fantastic. Like I still have the visceral image of like the mud maze with the worm and like all the bones and what she's doing there. She's obviously Feyre's. People have problems with her. She's a silly character. She's confident. She's confident and she cares about things too much. Will throw away her life for no reason, but. That's what makes me love her in this first book, right? Like you see what she's gonna do for love. She's gonna throw her life away for no reason, and you're just like, I hope that everything goes well for you. But Court of Thorns and Roses starts boring, and then the final third is a thrilling joyride, and then once you get through that, you're like, there's all this left afterward, of course. Can I? Oh no, you can see. Yeah, there's all that left. All this left to read afterwards. So get through book 1. I can't rank them after only talking about 1 probably, and then we get, of course, to book 2. This is where the Court of Thorns and Roses series opens up. Like book 1, you get Beauty and the Beast for 2/3, and then 1/3 you get like a sick sci-fi Maze Runner archetypal, and then this one you're getting introduced to the world, right? And you're getting introduced, of course, to the actual love interest of the book series Reese, or Rysand. If you first read Harry Potter, yeah, but Harry Potter doesn't have graphic sex scenes, okay? So that's why if you walk down a city, like a city street, or I walk along the Potomac River, to tell you where I live in DC. There's half the women sitting reading. They're reading one of these. Okay, they're not reading Harry Potter, and for good reason. But yeah, you meet Raya Sands, book one. She describes him as the most beautiful man she's ever seen. Of course, he's going to be the love interest. Naturally, he is, and like. You can read this book and just be like, Farrah's even more frustrating here, right? Like, there's the inevitability of the book. This book, it feels pretty inevitable, and she's like denying it and fighting against it. But the fight against it really, like, her slowly ingratiating herself into the world enables you to really dive in slowly to the world that Sarah Maas is creating, and that's the secret sauce of this book series, at least to me. Because there's the fantasy romance element, but at some point it's all the same, But the world that she created is compelling. There's the human world, the fairy world. There's the map. Like, you open the book, you get the map. Of course, to me, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I know that I'm not. They're pretending that, like, this is like, I forget Prithian. This isn't fucking Prithian. This is England, and that's Ireland, and this is the continental, like, obviously, but no. This is Prithian. You got your different worlds, and you get to slowly. We're learning, like, each of these little courts and everything. They all have different attributes and different people in it, and different vibes, and you're slowly getting ingratiated into that. Of course. Look at this thing. It says mustard seed on it, and it looks like my cat got to it. I didn't put this here. Mustard seed. You must have had a mustard seed plant? I don't know. But yes, we got our map of not Europe. We also get to go to Valaris. If we're talking about Harry Potter, like, Hogwarts visually is cool, if I remember from when I read the books right. I read them kind of as they came out, like, forever ago. But, like, here you got Valaris. And, when you're a kid and you're reading about a cool school, you're like, I wish I was at that cool school. I don't wish I was at a cool school, okay? I'm good with school now. I've done my time. Valaris is like an Italian city. On the water, of course, like, if that makes sense. You got music coming through the streets. You can smell the smells, the sounds. The visuals are incredible because they have a almost literal god, making sure that it's safe and pretty and for everyone. So you get to walk along these cobblestone streets, and you can imagine what it's like, being there. And it's cool to be in the fairy world. It's it has that Harry Potter element of you're pretending to ingratiate yourself in a world that doesn't actually exist, but. Yeah. Also, with A Court of Mist and Fury, we start also getting into the action. The MacGuffins, the plots that these books go through, and everything like that. Like, in general, we're ramping up to fight against King Hybern. He's the villain. From at least that we understand these stories, we're learning about him as well, and it creates an interesting enough world. Right? I wouldn't say like, oh, King Hybern becomes the most interesting villain or anything like that. But as the book goes, it's plotted in a way where you keep reading, right? Like, there's these books, I read through them rather quick. I read books pretty quick when I do read them. But, like, when I read Dune, it would definitely be like, I'd read a bit of Dune. Like, I'd read half an hour of Dune, and I'm like, that's enough Dune for today. But, like, these books, the way that they're plotted, the characters, and fun, you can just keep going. So I gotta keep going. So maybe I could do a character tier list at some point. I even put the books in the wrong order. That's embarrassing. A Court of Wings and Ruin. This big chonker. Book 2 has finished. The good soup has been eaten. Now it is time for war. A Court of Wings and Ruin has, if you're a man, the scenes that you want, right? You've got like the big war meeting, where all the big leaders come to a table. I mean, everyone wants that, not just men, but everyone wants. All the big leaders in the entire land come, and they're all extra, and they're all dressed up weird, and they're all yelling at each other at the dinner sequence, and so on. Like you get that, which I feel like is like it's like that much of the book, and then the setup for it's like that much of the book, but still that's fun. You get the war itself. So like you get the imagery of the battlefield. I had like this idea of the whole wall. I wish that my cat was sitting next to me. I don't know where he is. And now that I'm not just like a little window thing, I'm not gonna like walk around. I don't have a tier list to point to. What is your cat's name? I must know. But we get the war. We get now we've got Feyre and the family they're all part of Valar, so we've got like the whole squad there now. Everyone's we're all familiar with them. We kind of know their arcs. Overall, so this is the plot book, right? This is what we built up for the big war. This one's the war. Gotta keep going through these summaries, man, because I'm not even ranking them. So that's all. It's the quickest summary of an 800-page book without spoilers ever. Court of Frost and Starlight. This is the Christmas one-shot. One-shot because it's like almost like it's like a one-act play almost. It's not very long. Yeah, just over 200 pages. Perro? Perro is a cute name. Yin makes sense if you got another cat named like Yang, or you could do something with it, I think. But I like Perro. It's a good one. My small orange boy is Conan, like the barbarian and talk show host because of its long orange hair. Christmas one shot. Yeah, to me, I see this book as kind of a setup for this book, as well as you just have it's a fun time. It's this Christmas scene. It has all the Christmas gifts and so on. If you this is definitely, if you've read through the first three, this is obviously made for you. It's just fun stuff with the characters. And then at the end, we have a Court of Silver Flames. As someone who has a male friend who also read this, he's like, I'm not going to read this because this, of course, is the Nesta book. All the other ones we're following Feyre, but this one we are switching protagonists. And as such, that's up to this point. You're not really supposed to like her, right? Like, she's written as a character that you're supposed to dislike so that they can get an arc later on. Kind of like, to me, I see Elaine as a nothing character because her arc is supposed to come later. Tuxedo cats are very cute. I love tuxedo cats. My friends, I have a good friend, he has one. He just got one. Her name is Clairbeau. I love proper names for tuxedo cats. It's good. Now let's get to the ranking of these books. We've got Court of Thorns and Roses, Mist and Fury, Wings and Ruin, Frost and Starlight, and Silver Flames. Now, if we're talking about the first one, as I described, the first 2/3 of it, I don't want to ever read again. It's just kind of a more adulty Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. You're introduced to the information slowly. I found a lot of the characters annoying. Just because it's put here, that doesn't mean it's bottom tier. Okay, the physics don't allow me to put it above anything else when it's the only book here. Court of Mist and Fury, book 2. I said gold, that was a Freudian slip, because I was going to say I think this is the gold standard of the series. Even though it doesn't have the same action and villains and so on as Wings and Ruin, you get the romance of Rhys, which is, to be honest, if you're reading this book series, probably what you're paying for. It's what you're going to remember the most. Fair, it's still annoying, but it enables for a fun series of revelations and discoveries and so on. That this is where you get to dive into the world too. It's really, when you're reading the series, you gotta at least go through book 2. I'm putting that one above Court of Thorns and Roses, right there. Book 3. This is the book that I was looking forward to, because it's the one with all the war and fighting and stuff. And it doesn't disappoint, right? Like I got to meet. There's all the High Lords and ladies. You get to meet all the High Lords and ladies. And there's a political strategy abounds between a bunch of 500-year-olds who behave like children. So it's not exactly Game of Thrones political strategy, but there's some there. There's a war. It's just a lot of fun happens. It's 700 pages, Harry Potter and like, but I think that A Chord of Wings and Ruin sits right below Mist and Fury, personally. But these two, glue them together. Like those are the two best for me. Yeah, and my summaries were very short too, because I've already gone for 16 minutes. I was like, I'm gonna make a 7-minute tier list video, because unlike everything else that I've streamed, it seems that people actually click on the things occasionally that say tier list, because I guess that's what the internet loves. We love some tier lists. So I was like, playing the game. I'm like, I don't feel like playing this game right now. I'm gonna make a quick tier list, and then I'm gonna be out. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stream when you're on soon, but I think I'm planning on doing a couple more tier lists before work this week. Court of Frost and Starlight. I know that people who read this love it, but it's just weirdly popular maybe, but they're fun also to do. You get to banter about the certain things. I did the King Gizzard one. I got to give tidbits that people wouldn't know about before. Christopher Nolan movies, I got to rank them. You get to make people mad a little bit. This book. It's very pleasant. Everyone who reads it loves it. I don't think it needs to exist. It's just it's a Christmas party and a bunch of Christmas presents, and set up, and like almost an advertisement for the next book. So even though it's enjoyable, I am going to definitely be putting it right there at the bottom so far. And then we get to the big chonker. This book is big. This is the biggest book in the series so far, and it's the one where we pivot from Feyre to Nesta. Feyre, think about her as Harry Potter, and then now we're going to one of Harry Potter's degenerate friends who you hate throughout the book series because she's waiting to make her good in this book. So from a pacing standpoint and a stakes standpoint, it's definitely, to me, a step back from the books with Feyre, obviously, because we're mostly on Nesta's journey here. And even though we're on Nesta's journey, it still takes longer than any of the other books in the series. By the end, you do like Nesta. She goes through a transformation, as you'd anticipate with a book almost of 900 pages of length. But I think that if you think that it stands with any of these three, you're in a bit of denial, because the universe has already been established. All these characters have already been established, and we don't need too many of them. Like her arc is great, but it doesn't have the same level of thrill as the other books, and it makes me think, like, if the next book's like an Elaine book or something like that, it's I wish I could explain more in Harry Potter references. I can do a Harry Potter book tier list right after this, like real quick, even though I haven't read them since they came out, and I think that is decent content. And then I've got to be done, because my fiance's going to come back, and I only stream when I'm sneaking away. Because I'd be embarrassed if she comes in, she sees me holding up this book, talking to my phone. She's going to be like, "Are you doing the thing again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing the thing again." So I think that if you prefer this to any of the original three, you're in denial about what makes the books good and what makes them interesting. Like, you can like the arc that Nesta goes on more than Feyre, but content-wise, it doesn't pack the same punch. You don't get to meet as many of the same fun characters. I will put it above Court of Frost and Starlight, though, because Court of Frost and Starlight. This is the Happy Christmas Time. This one, that's at least a book. So here's my final tier list of the Court of Thorns and Roses series. I've got Court of Mist and Fury at the top. Right after that is Court of Wings and Ruin, and we're talking close. Okay, like there's a chance that if I were to reread them, I'd prefer rereading Court of Wings and Ruin because I know where this one's going, and here there's at least the political stuff that I'd be able to get through again. And so on. A Court of Thorns and Roses, as I've established, the first 2/3 is not fun comparatively, but like it's what sets you off. You're with Harry in the closet under the stairs at the beginning. You got to slowly be able to ingratiate yourself into the world. And after that, we got A Court of Silver Flames, which is it's almost like, to me, it's like a spin-off book. It's larger than those three. The story itself is slightly different. It fits in the same way, but it doesn't have the same punch to me. And then at the bottom here, I have A Court of Frost and Starlight, which to me, it's an enjoyable Christmas time ad for the Court of Silver Flames. So I'm going to leave this tier list here. I'm going to stop streaming, and then I'm going to come back with a Harry Potter tier list in a moment. Well, because I'm doing a voice, right? She's going to be in the other room reading another book read by her, just like, I don't want to give her the ick, It's kind of like, imagine I'm doing this, and there are like people, like there's like an electrician or a plumber in the apartment. They're like working on the house, like with their hands and stuff like that. I'm the guy, I work from home, I do math stuff, and like, what am I doing in my free time? I'm talking to a I could be running right now. Could be. I'm leaving it here. I already did my tier list. I'm coming back. I'm doing the Harry Potter books once I can find a tier list maker, and then I've got to be able to make a thumbnail. What thumbnail should I do? I've got this. I could do this here. Do I have any more yellow Post-it notes? Let's make a little happy face. Let's make a happy face. That's not a lightning bolt. All right, I'll be right back.